Hey everybody, Brian Nemhauser, and here for the Hawk Blogger live hangout during the fourth and final Seahawks game of the season, preseason, I should say. They're playing against Oakland. It's a home game, and as we're accustomed to here, fourth preseason games are always a little bit different than the other preseason games. Not a lot of not a lot of time for the starters. I think we should expect to see the starters play maybe a series. In some cases, we might not see them at all. There's a bunch of storylines to follow in this game. Guys fighting for their jobs, fighting for their dreams at the end of the roster. And the quality of the football may not be the best, but the storylines are still pretty compelling. So, some guys that are definitely worth watching tonight. One of the guys that jumps out is Shaquem Griffin. Looks like he's going to be starting for the Seahawks in the week one, most likely. KJ Wright, we got the news that he had arthroscopic surgery on his knee. Pete Carroll said best, most optimistic, report is he'll be back in 2 weeks. First game is in 11 days, so seems unlikely he'll be there for the first game. I do point out that Luke Jokel got arthroscopic knee surgery last year, ended up missing about 4 games. So we'll see. I think knowing how optimistic Pete is, it wouldn't surprise me at all if KJ's injury lasted a couple more weeks. And honestly, I don't believe Shaquem Griffin's ready to start. So, I'm really hoping to see tonight. It's not as much just about him making plays. I think it's about being assignment correct and, where he is in coverage and all that kind of stuff. So, interested to see what happens there tonight. You will see some patrons join the show at various times. Looks like we got Horatio on there. Welcome to the show, dude. And I'll be doing play-by-play throughout. And as folks want to ask questions, we'll definitely do that. Other guys that I'm looking for tonight, I think I'm curious to see what happens with the receiver group. I mean, that's a really competitive group. Amara Darboh is not going to play tonight. I don't know what the plan is with that guy. I know they were really hoping to see him out there. He has not shown anywhere near enough to be kept on the roster just for the sake of being on the roster. I would say that most likely scenario for Amara Darboh is that he is probably put on injured reserve. He's probably, he's cut, goes through waivers. Maybe they put him on injured reserve and stow him away to see if he can come back next year. But not a guy that I think the Seahawks are going to bump off. You can't imagine a guy like David Moore losing a roster spot over someone like Amara Darboh. I am interested to see how Marcus Johnson plays tonight. I wouldn't quite call him a lock, but I think he's a really likely roster. Good special teams player, made a nice catch last week. And then we'll see what some of the other guys look like. I don't think Tyler Lockett is playing tonight. Maybe he is. I'd like to see, what he looks like if possible. Brandon Marshall, for some people, still a question mark. I like what we've seen in Brandon Marshall this year, this preseason so far. He's not really a huge question mark to me. And then let's see. Also, a little bit curious to see what happens with at the cornerback position. Dante Johnson's getting his second start. Let's see what he looks like. He hasn't been picked on so far. Has played reasonably well. Looking like he might be the starter opposite Shaquille Griffin when the season starts. Byron Maxwell has not played yet in the preseason, so pretty tough to make the team if that's the case. We're getting ready for kickoff here. I will try to cue things up and do some play-by-play so you guys can time up your TV, or if you're watching this on replay, you can kind of time up where my commentary is with what's going on. So hold on one second. Managing a couple things here before we do the kickoff. Welcome back, Colin. Good to have you, dude. right. So there's a kick, and it's a line kick, and it's getting returned at about the 30-yard line, about the 29-yard line. Keem Griffin was in there, and going to see E.J. Manuel for the Raiders. So, again, you're not going to see a lot of starters in this game. Not a huge surprise there. I kind of liked E.J. Manuel as a backup. I think he's a decent guy to have back there. I don't think we're going to see Brett Hundley tonight. Just past his physical, so unlikely he'll be there. But dead man walking with Austin Davis, so it's got to feel a little awkward knowing who's going to play tonight. So Raiders take the ball. They're on the 28-yard line. There's the snap. Handoff up the middle. Oh, and a huge hit. That was Naz Jones. Man, really nice start to the game. Has had a relatively quiet preseason. Look at him jump off the ball and penetrate. I mean, that guy's such a great athlete. Nice to also see Barkevius Mingo there, just strong, setting the edge. There's no place to go. Let's see. We got a tackle for loss. They gave him a yard on that play. Okay. Didn't seem like it, but let's go. There's a snap, another handoff. And brought down for about 3 yards. This is Chris Warren, by the way, former Seahawk, son of a former Seahawk, also by the name of Chris Warren, and has been tearing it up for Oakland. He's been a undrafted free agent and looks like a pretty powerful runner and a guy that I think made a big impact for Texas his freshman year, but did not recreate that in later years. So he kind of lasted a while. So now you got 3rd and 5. Let's see how the Seahawks do here. This is a really good test for Shaquem in this situation. There's a snap, quick pass, and good coverage there. There's Justin Coleman doing his thing. I mean, he's looking like one of the top couple of nickel corners in the game. Right there. I mean, he's not just on the guys. He's so ahead of where the passes are coming. He's getting hands on the ball. He's right there to make a play. He's a guy that looks like he could be one of the players that creates turnover. So nice 3 and out to start. Raiders about to punt. There's the snap. There's the punt. Fair catch there. Who's making the fair catch? Is that David Moore? That is David Moore, number 83. So the Seahawks will get the ball at around the 23, 24-yard line, and Davis takes the field probably for the last time in a Seahawks uniform. Takes a lot of, I don't know, takes some gumption, getting out there. You do see Chris Carson there. You see Joey Hunt in the middle at center. Russell Wilson obviously not going to get playing time tonight. Let's see what we got on the offensive line. Curious also at fullback. Trey Madden I think is going to play, but Daniel Marks should also get some snaps. That's Trey Madden in there now. Not a lot there to start with. Jordan Roos I can see is in there. J.R. Sweezy is supposed to get snaps tonight. So curious what he looks like. I think he was going to be playing at right guard. There's Jermaine Ifedi on the right side. Got Roos at right guard. There's the snap and the pitch out to Carson. Not a lot of room. We're looking at a 3rd and about 6. Looks like maybe Isaiah Battle there at left tackle. So we'll see what that looks like. But not quite the same starting offensive line to be expected. Good for these guys to get some snaps. Here we go on 3rd and 5. See what the Seahawks do here. There's a snap and back shoulder fade to – there he is, Mr. Jerron Brown. That's been a route that he's run throughout the preseason. I've seen it in practice, seen it during the games. And 6'3", I think a really underrated signing by the Seahawks. I don't think that he's going to be a Pro Bowl player, but I think he has the potential to be a really solid contributor. And, I think he can make up a lot. So it's going to be a productive. There's a first down snap. Davis is back. looking deep. I think that's going to be incidental contact. David Moore had gotten a step, and he had to like his chances of potentially coming down with that. But that really did look incidental to me. I don't think that was a call you could make. Yeah. I think that there's a chance. Let's see. Yeah, maybe. Probably not. Probably doesn't make that catch. Would have been reasonably close. So we got 2nd and 10 here at the 46-yard line. There's a little screen pass to Carson. Not a lot of room. Joey Hunt missed on a block out there, sort of Jordan Roos. And Carson wasn't able to get anything out of that. So we got 3rd and 10. Yeah, so Isaiah Battle in there at left tackle, I'm pretty sure. Left guard I have not seen yet. I'm guessing it's Ethan Posick, but not positive. There's the snap. It is Ethan Posick. And there's the completion over the middle. I think that's Vanette. Yeah. 2 nice 3rd down conversions by Mr. Davis. Obviously, his goal at this point is not to make the Seahawks team, but to put some tape out there for another team to maybe consider him as their backup.
Wish you weren't so worried about moving.
Vanette's had a nice preseason, made the most of his chances, had that nice touchdown in the first game, and has been reasonably sure-handed when he's been given the chance. I got 1st and 10 at the Raider 43-yard line. There's the snap, fake, and an end around to Keenan Reynolds. Look at him put a nice move on number 58 there. I think he ended up getting about 4 yards. So Reynolds was a option quarterback for Navy in college, for people that don't know, and as a runner by nature. Obviously Navy runs triple option, so he's doing a lot of running, physical player, converted to receiver, and has some really nice abilities. Probably a long shot to make the roster at this point, but a guy that the Seahawks definitely have interest in. There's the snap, handoff to Mike Davis. There's no room tonight. That offensive line's not creating a lot of push. The guys that I think have been really making a difference in the run game have been guys like Dwayne Brown and Justin Britt and DJ Fluker, and none of those guys are playing tonight. So so far the line is not getting much of a push. And there is Tyler Lockett. I thought I saw him. So good to see him out there. Happy for him to have gotten that contract. There's another 3rd down, 3rd and 5. There's a snap and a handoff up the middle. Davis looked like he was going to be pulled down in the backfield, breaks the arm tackle, and bursts through for 7 yards. Somewhere Mike Holmgren's happy to see a 3rd and medium draw play. Where's Max Strong when you need him? Mike Davis doing his job. I think his roster spot's pretty safe at this point, given J.D. McKissick is out for 4 to 6 weeks. 3 to 5 probably at this point. 1st and 10 at the 29, and there's the fake play action. Davis goes down. Battle was beaten on that play. Good old Tank Carradine. Yeah, that was a old 49er pick. Guy I think they took pretty early in the draft when he had been injured and never really developed for the 49ers, but makes a play there for the Raiders. Here we go. 2nd and 17, 37-yard line. There's the snap. There's the swing option. Oh, he doesn't take it. Flag goes down. Oh, and a wide open Jerron Brown for a touchdown. That is probably coming back, unfortunately. It just hit Austin Davis. Yep, come on back. Nice play by Davis. And, good awareness by Brown to find a open space. But and it's on Isaiah Battle. So not a great series for Mr. Battle. Certainly he's battling, but not necessarily opposing team. So he doesn't like the call, but let's take a look. See if they'll show us a replay here. In any event, I think we're. Oh, Mike Solari doesn't like it either. Interesting to see what Solari's done with this team. So we got 2nd and 27. Seahawks are almost back at midfield now. This is usually where you see a screen pass, something to get a few yards back, or a draw play. Wow, a big hole. That is exactly what you want to see. And oh my gosh, are they going to give a personal foul? Is that going to be on offense or defense? Because Davis really lowered his head. I could see that. Oh, they're calling a holding? What's going to be the call here? Holding on the offense. Are you kidding me? Oh, man. Yeah, take him out. You can't just, like, what's the deal with the Seahawks having accountability this year? You know, they got to pull him. They're going to put in, I'm curious what they're going to pull in a backup left tackle. Is it Willie Beavers, maybe?
I think that's 3 touchdowns called back this preseason.
Beavers actually has had some pretty good games from a pass protection perspective, at least if you look at PFF. Can't quite see the number, so I think it is Beavers, and he gets beaten around the edge. And there is a open David Moore, but could not quite connect. Did not have a lot of time for that play to develop. Davis comes up limping a little bit. Battle's going to have to get back out there at some point, I think. But the Seahawks don't look like they're capable of running their offense with their left tackle situation they currently have. Saw CJ Procise check in, number 22. They're really looking to get in field goal range at this point. They're not going to realistically get a first down, and that's what they do. They go to Procise, and that's not going to accomplish it. So I think we're going to get a little bit of the punt doctor, Michael Dixon, MD, in the game. So we haven't really seen Dixon have to kick from a short field. Curious what he will do in this situation. He's going to coffin corner it out of bounds. Is he going to deaden it? What's his style down here? This is a punt from the 43-yard line. It's a tough place to punt from and keep it anywhere close to the end zone. Looks like he angles it and gets it down there to the 10-yard line. So does his job. Mr. Dixon, no returns. That's his deal. So during the commercials, I will try to switch over to the chat. So I will be able to have a conversation with what's going on there. Yeah. So I'm not going to be showing the game if anyone's expecting me to do that. So, that's the quickest way to get this whole thing shut down. But you're welcome to stick around if you want to talk about the game. So we got Raiders fans in here. You're welcome to be here. I don't think you're going to have that much fun, though. Your team's kind of crap, and whatever you have that's good has kind of come from the Seahawks. I mean, where's Bruce Irvin? So let's see. What do we got in terms of questions? Anything here? I'm looking through here. Doesn't look like much. That's good. If you have any, let me know. Our starting line is not out there, our offensive line. So it's an interesting thing. In past years, we have seen the Seahawks actually start their starting unit in the first series. Even Russell Wilson I've seen to start 4th preseason games at times. Not today. They're taking it. They're being careful with Dwayne Brown. I think that's smart. But it's really hard to get a look at, if you're a position player, if you're a receiver who's trying to make this roster and your line is so bad that you can't even protect to get a pass off, it's really hard for those guys to have a chance to really show what they're capable of. Players to watch, I think Shaquem Griffin is number 1. I think George Fant and tweezy ideas, but they're always worth watching. Obviously, Rasheem Green, we're looking at that right now, and Dante Johnson's another one. Who's your favorite player on the Seattle Seahawks? My favorite player on the Seahawks now is Doug Baldwin. He's pretty much everything I like in a player. So unfortunate to have that touchdown called back. Let's see what the defense can do down here. You still got guys like Mingo in there, Delano Hill. There's a quick drop. And there's Shaquem Griffin coming there and making the play. It's really hard to know where responsibilities are, without a little bit of better angle on these things. But, the good news with Griffin is when he has been trailing plays, he catches up and makes the tackle. There haven't been a lot of plays where people are running away from him. There's a 4-yard gain on first down, 2nd and 6 from the 15. And there's the snap, and looks like a play action, rollout manual, dumps it down and wide open. Number 81. So, again, curious, there's a flag down. There's a lot of zone coverage that the Seahawks play, and they ask their linebackers to be really ineligible man downfield, I think. Now, personal foul on the defense. All right. Well, great. Not a lot of good flags going the Seahawks' way lately. Wow. What? Wow. That is the first of that breed of penalty that I've seen from a Seahawks game that just doesn't look like football to me. For the most part, I thought that rule has not affected the Seahawks games, but it's been pretty brutal. That's a pretty brutal one, and I've seen some of the other games. There's a handoff. Shaquem Griffin makes the tackle. Wasn't able to completely wrap up. Another flag's down. Looks like maybe a holding there. Well, looks like the refs are going to make this a really fun game. I guess they do have to call it, as accurately as they can, but nobody's watching this 4th preseason game to see who can get penalties. I mean, you just want to see guys play, and we'll see. Anyway, so there we go. Looks like we got 1st and 20. Quick slant, and there's Dante Johnson. First time we've been able to call his number. So I'd love to be able to see what he looked like at the press and see how they completed that slant. But again, he was right there. I mean, really what the Seahawks are always looking for in their corners is that they keep guys in front of them. 9-yard gain, though, 2nd and 11 here from the Seahawks 49, really about the 50. And there's Manuel looking to run, and he slides. Shaquem Griffin was gonna deliver, so Manuel was wise to make a business decision there and get on the ground. He's smiling about it. Clock ticking down, 4.5 minutes left in the first quarter, and we got 3rd down, and Kim Griffin's already got 3 tackles tonight, which is nice to see. So 3rd and 7. You really want to see the Seahawks get off the field here. It'd be nice to see them get some pass pressure. I've not seen a lot of that so far. Looks like maybe an audible, maybe a bluff. We'll see. Seahawks showing some pressure. Just rush 4. Nobody gets there, and there's the pass complete. Oh, and I don't think his knee went down. I think that's going to be a touchdown. Damn. Coleman spun him around, but I think he landed on top of Coleman and just kept running. So either way, that was going to be a 1st down. Nice completion there for Manuel. Yeah, that's a touchdown. Oh, no, yeah, that was on top of his leg. I don't think the knee ever came down. Yeah, I know everyone would love for me to turn around and show the game, but they'll shut down the channel. I can't do it. So if you're sticking around for that, that's not going to happen. Question here about is Rashad Penny going to play tonight? I'm really curious about that as well. I don't think so. He did go through warmups. I don't think there's any reason for him to play tonight. Quite honestly, guy broke his finger. I would suggest that they kind of leave it as much as possible. Let him heal. A situation where you're going to have to be holding that ball, trying to avoid fumbles and stuff like that. Let him build strength in that hand. No reason to get potentially re-injure it tonight. I think he just got the cast off yesterday, or the splint, whatever it was. So Colin or Horatio, you guys got any questions? All right. You guys are welcome to hang out, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think you should be able to unmute yourself, and if you can't, let me know. And there's the group chat in the live feed. If you have any questions, you can ask that way too. Oh, you can't unmute. Hold on. I should be able to fix that. Hold on. All right. So, all right, can you unmute now?
Yeah, it should be good. Yeah, I was just wondering if you thought Penny would play because I heard he was warming up.
Problems. I can't hear you.
Oh,
Whatever
okay.
the problem I'm having. I've had this before where I have to restart my computer to do that. Sorry, dude.
It's okay.
So what I might have to do, I'll try to do it at halftime. But yeah, there's no way to know until it starts. So feel free to type in your questions and I'll get to them that way. Yeah, I don't think a knee ever hit the. Yeah. There's the extra point. So 7-0 Oakland. I guess you could silver lining there. That's a pretty fluky kind of play. Negative is they gave up a third down and long conversion there. That's Justin Coleman, who's your starter, and you don't want to see that especially against backups. So. Yeah, Colin's saying on here that he also saw him in Rashad Penny in warmups, and really doesn't want to see him play. And I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I don't think there's any real. We don't need to see anything. It's not like there's a risk of him not making the team. So no point in taking a chance here. Horatio. Yeah. So let me know, Horatio, if you're having trouble hearing me or. Potentially you and Colin can unmute and talk to each other. I don't know, but yeah. So I see from Tad, he's got a question about Lockett's contract. It's a bit steep, honestly, for what I think he would earn on the open market. It's lower, but I think I saw somewhere it's like 30-something richest receiver contract in the league. So he's already pretty far down there, and you figure a year from now it's going to be even farther down there. A nice cut by Cyril Grayson, good block, and I think he's close to midfield on that. So nice return for Cyril Grayson. But I'm happy they locked him. No pun intended. I'm happy they locked him up. I think that he's really shown that, to me at least, that he's got his quickness back. And one of the things I really like about Tyler Lockett, he's always been a separation receiver. And by that, I mean, he's a guy that, first of all, he can run the whole route tree. So you can do short, you can do medium, you can go long. He can go in, he can go out. But he's going to get open. He's going to get separation from defenders. There's a nice completion to DeMaurice Stringfellow. I've not seen a lot of him during the preseason games. The guy's got obviously a terrific wide receiver build. He's like 6'2", just built. He lumbers a little bit, and he's very physical. He tends to use a lot of his hands to get free. He is not a separation receiver. So he's the opposite. He's a guy that's very rarely open. He just uses his body to create space. There's a handoff to Mike Davis right up the middle. Falls forward pretty close to the first down marker, but it's going to be just short. So it's going to be third and probably a little less than a yard. I think Mike Davis is going to get the bulk of the carries tonight. We might see a chunk of CJ Prosise. But Davis is the guy that, honestly, I don't think they're relying on that much. So they're happy to have him carry the load. I know a lot of fans are huge. There's a lot of Mike Davis fans out there. I like Mike Davis, but I just don't think he's a guy they're too worried about losing. There's guys coming through the backfield. Not a lot of good blocking up front, and Davis couldn't make even a single guy miss. So that's not going to be the way you want to see a third and short go. Looks like the Seahawks may be going for it on 4th and 2. I don't see the defense coming off the field. No real risk here. Yep, they're on the Raiders side of the 50, so they've got to get to the 44-yard line. Empty backfield. There's the snap. Quick look. Davis. Oh, my gosh. God. Ball got batted in the air, and I'm pretty sure Willie Beavers made the catch and took it for about a yard. That's just great. So it looked like Davis was trying to get the ball to Marcus Johnson and was not able to do that. So I've got a question. What's the ethnicity of Russell Wilson? I'm going to leave that to Twitter, man. I'll let you figure that out. So interested to see, there's a question here. Who from Nathan P. Who's on the bubble that you'll be most upset if cut? And he asks if it's Poona Ford. You could argue that David Moore is on the bubble. You could argue that Brandon Marshall's on the bubble, depending on how they play things out. You could maybe argue that I have to go back to my roster and take a look. Hold on one second. Yeah, I think that for me, the guy that would be hard to see cut. Just double checking a couple things here. Yeah, I think it's probably someone like David Moore, who's unlikely to get cut, but it's possible. Brandon Marshall for me might be tough. I'd really like to see what he looks like in a Seahawks uniform. I like the idea of a 6'5" Brandon Marshall on one side and a 6'3" Jerron Brown on the other side. I just think that there's some interesting things they can do there. Kind of curious why the team isn't playing George Fant tonight. He's clearly capable of playing left tackle, but maybe they're trying to keep it simple and keep him on one side. So Horatio, you're asking where I'm getting the other questions. There is a chat on the YouTube page, so I'm looking at that chat there, and you're welcome to join in there as well with everybody else. For the patrons, they're able to get on here, and I will always answer questions on here right away as I see them. Chat's what I can get to when I have a moment. So we got 1st and 10 for the Raiders at their own 47. There's a play action, no pressure at all. And Mike Tyson, this is probably his last game with the Seahawks. Guy they drafted, he was a safety in college. They drafted to convert to corner. Did not work out at corner. They then moved him back to safety this year, back to corner. I've never seen anything from him that makes me think that he's capable of good coverage. So Trey Flowers in there, number 37. First down at 32, there's a snap, and there's a handoff. Nice tackle there. Who is that? There's Shaquem Griffin. That's good to see. One of the things he's talked about is, he played a lot on the line of scrimmage in college. He was basically like a defensive end. And with them playing now really what's an inside linebacker role, it's a weak side linebacker role, he's had to learn when to shoot the gaps and how to read those plays. So that's a good example of a play that he's having to learn how to do in the NFL. And there's pressure in the face. Nice tackle there, Mike Tyson, and Shaquem Griffin was there again. I like what I'm seeing from Griffin. I mean, I will never argue that I can diagnose exactly what his responsibilities are on all these plays. And sometimes freelancing can lead to a lot of tackles and plays that maybe he shouldn't be making. But so far, I think he's doing quite well. So I was thinking about at the quarter potentially trying to restart my computer so I could actually hear what was going on the Hangout. I'm a little worried if I do that, the Hangout's going to end. And I won't be able to rejoin. So that's one of my questions here. Yeah, and I did definitely see Collins asking if we saw Trey Flowers and Trevon Reed in at corners. I did see that as well. And welcome, Mr. Chris Rude, to the show. Good to have you back, dude. I'm having audio issues in that I can't hear people. Hopefully, I think you guys can hear me. But otherwise, this would be really even more boring of a show. But so if you have questions, Chris, enter them in the group chat and or comments, and happy to chat there. Heading back to the other chat, I don't think the Seahawks have really created any turnovers this preseason, other than the snap from Glowinski that went into the end zone. So it sure would be nice to see the Seahawks create a turnover one way or another. But, the defense without Bobby Wagner, without KJ Wright, without Bradley McDougald, without Tedrick Thompson, I don't think Shaquille Griffin has been in. You're not seeing Tom Johnson. You're not seeing Jaron Reed. You're not seeing Frank Clark. This is not the defense that you'll be seeing out other than a guy like Shaquem Griffin. And the interesting thing there is, on one hand, you don't want to show fear and try to protect him to make sure he's safe for the season opener. On the other hand, if he gets injured, you've got nothing. There is no other weak side linebacker option. Get experience as possible, but you also want him to stay healthy. So they're showing 59 Jacob Martin and 51 Barkevious Mingo. Those are two guys that have done a nice job. Martin, late round pick, I think a 6th round pick. Promising guy. Got some pass rush skill. This is a 3rd and 9. Let's see if the Seahawks can get off the field here. Get some pass pressure. Not much. A really clean pocket for Manuel. Eventually, Kalitro fires his gun, and he gets through there and makes the play. And the whole team freaks out. Good for him. It wasn't exactly the way you drop pass pressure. Manuel had a perfectly clean pocket. He ran out of that pocket for some reason, no good reason, and created a lane for Kalitro to come in there and smack him. That's one of the things, quarterbacks try to move out of the way. They think that they kind of can create some throwing lanes. But generally, when you're a quarterback and you move to one side of the field, it eliminates the other side of the field completely. Here's the kick, and looks like it's going to be good. So there's a 10-0 lead for Oakland. Don't really care. But anyway, when a quarterback leaks out to one side, it really eliminates the other side of the field for the most part, makes the defense's job easier. That's why you hear a lot of criticism when you see a quarterback take off too early or, fade to one side of the field. That's why you don't see as many bootlegs, because bootlegs, by their nature as a design play, really make it easier on the defense. They don't have to defend as much of the field. So you really have to catch someone off track. So I see Horatio asked me if I went over the Khalil Mack trade possibilities. That's a good topic. He says mortgaging future first for a stud. I would do it, just not sure how they sign him plus Clark. Well, yeah, and Colin says you got to see Clark involved in the deal. That's my take. I put that out there last week. I think I was the first person to put that out, but who's really counting? I think that a deal of Earl Thomas and Frank Clark for Khalil Mack and a draft pick, could be a 5th round pick, or lower. I think that makes sense to me. The reason it makes sense to me is that Oakland actually would get Earl Thomas, unlike the Seahawks, who are not going to get Earl Thomas. So they're really not losing something in that situation. Thomas is one of the best safeties in the NFL, would just be a huge upgrade for Oakland. You then get Frank Clark, who is a young pass rusher in his own right. Clark's had 19 sacks in the last 2 years. Khalil Mack's had 21.5. So, they're not comparable as a player, but they're comparable in terms of some of their production. And, they'd be able to sign Frank Clark for a lot less than they could sign Khalil Mack. You might even be able to get Earl Thomas and Frank Clark for what you would be paying Khalil Mack. And I think that makes them a better defense, honestly. For the Seahawks, you're not going to get Earl Thomas, as we talked about. And so then you go from Frank Clark to Khalil Mack. And he's an upgrade over Frank Clark. There's no doubt about it. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. And I think, I think that would be a move that would make some sense. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think it's obviously much more likely it doesn't happen. But I am 100%, I will go say 100% sure that John Schneider has been in contact with Reggie McKenzie about this thing. About this deal, and don't know about the specifics about what they'd be talking about, but I know Schneider and McKenzie are close. The Seahawks know they need pass rush. Schneider is one of the most active GMs in the league, especially when it comes to trades. I don't think anyone's completed more trades than he has definitely over his tenure. So, we'll see. That's the thing that makes the most sense to me. The other option would be Earl plus some draft picks. And I think the Seahawks really need their draft picks. I don't really love the idea of them giving up draft choices, especially because it would have to be Earl and probably at least a one, maybe more than that. And I don't think that's what I would do if I was constructing this roster. We do see George Fant in there now at left tackle. I think someone said he had been in there before. So a little frustrating that he has to play left tackle. I really want him to get in chances at right tackle. It is giving the team a chance to make plays, and there is one of them, Stringfellow, in stride, and he's gone. He is gone. Nice touchdown for the Seahawks. Hopefully no flags. And Austin Davis looking for some love. That's nice to see. Finally had a decent pocket to pass from. And man, is it just me or are they losing the video there? Yeah, I lost the video, so I did not see the did not see how Stringfellow got off on his release, but he was in good position and made a nice catch with his hands. That wasn't with his body. Did not have to break stride. Davis put it in the perfect spot. Davis is throwing some nice balls tonight. So good game for him. Definitely by far his best game of the preseason. He'd already have 2 touchdown passes if it weren't for Isaiah Battle. So here we go with the extra point. And, oh, boy, that's no good. That's no good for many reasons. It's no good because it doesn't count, and it's no good because, you know, I don't want to have to think about the kicker this year. Janikowski, stuff your head in that helmet and just kick the ball through the uprights, please. Pete Carroll loves it. He's happy. All right. So Colin says the upgrade from Clark to Mack worth multiple top round picks. Can you be more clear? What do you mean?
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you're still there, Colin, but if you are, I'm not sure. What's the question again? Are you asking if Clark plus multiple top round picks would get Mack without Earl Thomas involved? Is that what you're asking? So you're saying if they lose Earl anyway, basically the net gain is the upside from Clark to Mack. That's right. That's right. And from my perspective, it's also, I would expect the Seahawks to get a draft pick back in return as well. So, all right. So, yeah, I don't think it's worth trading 2 firsts for Khalil Mack. No, I don't. It's hard for me to get behind that. Horatio says Rob Staten mentioned 2 firsts for Mack and a 3rd, and you agree most likely will not be done, but you bet John's very active. Jets got draft capital. You can imagine. I've heard Green Bay. So I don't know. I value draft picks. They are a little bit of a crapshoot, but first-round picks are things that I don't think John Schneider's valued enough. And I think that's hurt the Seahawks. They've traded away too many for veteran players. And let's not forget, you're going to be paying Khalil Mack over $20 million a year. So a significant chunk of your cap's going there. So you really do have to be able to fill out the rest of your roster with talented players because, you know, we already have a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Bobby Wagner on offense and an MVP candidate on defense and an MVP candidate on offense in Russell Wilson. And that's still not enough to necessarily be a contending team. So you do have to have talent throughout the roster. I wouldn't be surprised to see Stringfellow find a place in another roster. I think he is practice squad eligible, so I could also definitely see the Seahawks keeping him around. He's a promising prospect. I mean, he's a guy that I can definitely see playing on Sundays. He's just got a little bit more work to do to develop and be more consistent. So Raiders take over at the 25. There's the snap and the handoff. And good penetration. Akeem King was the first to make contact. Quentin Jefferson's in there trying to rip the ball out. Didn't look even close to getting it out. I think Poona Ford was the guy there that ultimately made the stop. I think it was Brandon Jackson. Excuse me. Yeah, Brandon Jackson's right there. So I think this is changes are there now. Bodes well for Dante Johnson. I think he's been out. There's the swing pass. Mingo cannot make the play. Ultimately, it is Dante Johnson. He's still in there, and he makes the tackle. You know, Mingo is such a good athlete, but he has missed some tackles. So, you know, that's not great. Really like to see, you know, he's big enough. That guy should be wrapping up running backs without a lot of problems. So we got a 3rd and short, 3rd and 3. They got to get to the 35-yard line. Seahawks have got no pass pressure whatsoever. We'll see if they send some pressure at some point to see if. Oh, there's a fumbled snap. Quick pass out, and Shaquem Griffin's there to make the play, and it should be short of the first down. You know, one of the things that Griffin's got that, you know, just plays is speed. So, you know, if you look at his spider chart, this guy is 99 percentile for his height and weight for the speeds he ran. And it shows up. I mean, that shows up. He gets him out of bounds, gets Warren out of bounds, and he's a load. That guy's breaking all sorts of tackles this preseason, and Griffin was he brought the heat and closed the gap and got 6 tackles tonight already. So looking pretty good. There's the punt. Let's see if we can get a return out of this. I think that's David Moore. Ooh. A little bit of an adventure on that return, but he makes, or on that fair catch, but he makes it. Seahawks get the ball back. It's about 12 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Oh my gosh, Colin noticed Ode Ibushi. That is true. He is on the Oakland Raiders because Tom Cable. That's what happens. So we've got some trolls. Let's get people out of here. Sorry, guys. I can't moderate and talk at the same time. So I'm going to get these guys out of here that are causing trouble. I could just kick out anyone that's a Raiders fan. But we'll see. No surprise, Raiders fans are not exactly showing their best sides. Yeah. Well, so someone mentioned that we need to add to the pass rush, not trade one for another. Obviously, that would be great. Khalil Mack, though, is not like other pass rushers, and you're not going to. I mean, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, you know, these are not guys that you're going to just get almost ever from teams. I mean, these are defensive player of the year level players, all pro, best at their position level players. Teams don't generally give them up. And if they are going to give them up, they're not going to give them up for cheap. So, you know, I would not hold out a lot of hope that the Seahawks can just get them. I mean, you can give up draft picks if you want to keep Frank Clark, but again, I think that losing draft picks is a bigger deal than losing Frank Clark. I really like Frank Clark a lot. I like him as a person. You know, from when I've talked to him, I like him as a player. I do have some durability questions about him. You know, he gets nicked up a lot. He's a little bit undersized for a guy to play on the line. I don't know if that contributes to it. He's pretty tough and he plays through it. But you're about to have to give him 14, 15, maybe 16 million bucks a year. I'd rather give Khalil Mack 20 plus million than Frank Clark 16. So Austin Davis is rolling out, and he's got Cyril Grayson for the catch. Nice catch there. Joe Grayson's a nice player. Again, he's undersized, former sprinter. Really, I think has developed as a receiver. I know Doug Baldwin's taken him under his wing. Not going to make this roster. Could definitely be a practice squad player. But he's learning his trade, and the Seahawks have the ball at the 48, first down, and there's the snap. Handoff to CJ Procise. Wow, the run blocking has been horrible. Horrible. And that's one of the challenges with George Fant. I don't know if you guys saw the tweets I was sending out this week, but Fetty had a decent game against Minnesota and pass blocked okay and run blocked well. George Fant pass blocked better, but his run blocking was terrible. So Fant's really got to work on the run blocking. You got a 2nd and 13 here. And there's a snap. Davis looks around. He's going to run. Look downfield. He's going to keep it. And nobody wants to see Austin Davis run the ball. So I got a question here, a couple comments. So Horatio talks about, can't wait for KJ to be back. Absolutely. The guy's a rock. Kind of curious if Shaquem Griffin, what if he plays really, really well with Wright out? Does that mean, Wright can play any of the linebacker spots. He can play Sam. He's played Sam. He can play Mike. Is there a chance that Mingo gets moved to the bench and Shaquem stays in the lineup? That'd be a good problem to have if Shaquem plays really well. 3rd and 8. Here is Austin Davis with a snap. And I'm getting a frozen screen, so I cannot see anything going on. And there's the pass to CJ Procise. Was behind him and did not give him a chance to do much with it. So it's going to be 4th and short, and I think they'll probably go for it here. Nice catch by Procise down by his feet, but not a conversion. Interesting with Brian Schottenheimer. Everyone's getting to know his offense and his tendencies right now. We all had our issues with Darrell Bevell, and we knew his tendencies and where his problem. I don't think we know Schottenheimer's yet, so I think we're gonna get frustrated with him once we kind of know those. There's the snap. Roll out for Davis, and nobody's there. Jeez, he didn't even give himself a chance. Why not throw it? Throw somewhere where it could be intercepted. Even throw it somewhere where your guy has a chance. But throwing it directly into the dirt, I don't get that on 4th down. So it'll be Raiders ball. Let's get back to the questions here. So Colin's got something here about Eric Walden. He has got an injury. And he mentioned the 11 sacks that Eric Walden had in 2016. I do have questions about whether Walden will make it. He had a couple sacks last week in his debut against Minnesota. They were against backups, though. So it's hard to say that that's going to make or break it for him. Seahawks need pass rush. Most likely, you'd think that he'd stick around, but that means you're going to have to cut maybe a Brandon Jackson, younger player, a guy that I think they like. So I don't know. I think in some ways it depends on how ready they think Jacob Martin is to contribute. If they believe Jacob Martin is ready to be an active rotational pass rusher right now, then I don't think you really need Eric Walden. And honestly, Eric Walden was available 2 weeks ago. There's probably an Eric Walden or someone like him available 2 weeks from now as well. The other thing working against Walden is that he's a veteran. So if they cut him and sign him back after week 1, then his contract's not guaranteed. So if they keep him and put him on the 53-man roster, then his contract's guaranteed. So you see a lot of veterans and get cut for that reason. Horatio's asking here, Rex and Shoddy got the most out of the Jets in the Mark Sanchez era. A bit nervous as to what this era entails. I think a lot of folks are. He was a big fan of Marty Schottenheimer, even though he couldn't get over the Super Bowl hump. I agree. Like I one of my favorite teams, other than the Seahawks, has always been the Browns. And I loved the Bernie Kosar era and the Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner. Those teams, those defenses, the way they ran, they were just really tough, hard-nosed teams. And I certainly was cheering for them over the Broncos every time. So sad to see them never quite make it. Brian Schottenheimer's, I think he's an overthinker based on everything I've read and what I've seen of him. I think he overplans things and puts probably really complicated game plans together. And not a lot of players are able to execute his game plans. Oh, that's going to be pass interference for sure. And that's Trevon Reed. So, I can imagine Reed saying, "Hey, my feet just got caught up, just like Sharice Wright's feet got caught up." But that looked pretty blatant to me. Colin mentions that Coney Ealy's on the bubble in Dallas. Yeah, he would be an interesting addition. He's been available a couple times though, and the Seahawks have not gone after him. So I don't know if the Seahawks see him as a fit for what they're doing. Horatio says here that what I love about all the moves is that Pete has the squad back, both in having players' eyes and ears in the run and explosive plays. I think that's true. There's Griffin making another play. I do think that the culture had gotten a little toxic, and I do think that also gets overplayed a bit, to be honest. Talent wins games, not chemistry. Chemistry absolutely can be an additive, but if your team's not more talented than the team you're playing, you can have the best chemistry around, and you're not going to win. Football is too much of a physical sport. Talent wins more than anything else. There's the snap on 2nd and 8. Nice penetration. I think that was Joey Ivy. Am I right? I think that was Joey Ivy. That guy, yeah, it is. He is. He's been a bit of a playmaker. He disappeared in games 2 and 3. He had a big game, his first game against the Colts, but he's kind of disappeared. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit more of him, and that was a nice flash. He got in the backfield and unfortunately got taken out. So we got 3rd and 11 here. Let's see if Jacob Martin can get home. I don't know who's rushing opposite. It might be Barkevius Mingo. Oh, Mingo got a nice jump. It was Mingo. And there's Austin Calicho is going to make this team. They're really, their linebacker numbers are pretty light. And I don't think they've got a legitimate backup for Bobby Wagner other than you could shift KJ Wright over there. Calicho looks like he's a guy that could contribute on special teams and is a decent linebacker. Not a guy that strikes me as really starter material, but could he be a Brock Coyle level backup? Yeah, I think he could. I've liked what I've seen from him. And I think he's been pretty consistent throughout the preseason. Then we got 4th and 6. Everybody's going for it on 4th down tonight. No punters. Raiders have to get to the 30-yard line, despite with that yellow marker. It looks like it's a little bit short, but you have to get all the way to the 30. And a timeout. Yeah, Horatio's mentioned that he agrees on the talent piece, and they still need quite a bit more. 1 year of good draft free agency, though it's not as dire as Mike Clay of ESPN mentioned on Twitter. Yeah, that's a good. I'm glad you brought that up. So Mike Clay, he's fine. I mean, he's just another national guy, and he had the Seahawks as the 2nd least talented roster, non-quarterback roster in the NFL. 31 out of 32 teams. And, I tried to have a conversation with him, and he got snippy, and I'm sure he was getting all sorts of crap from Seahawks fans, and that's fine. I agree. The Seahawks roster is definitely, in a lot of ways, lost some talent. But if you really look back at who they had last year, there's some places where they've actually upgraded their talent. I don't know that that's getting as much conversation. Running backs, receivers, offensive line. You could argue that linebacker, I think, is better than it was last year. It's hard to argue defensive line is better, but it might be. And here's the reason why. Cliff Averill was out pretty much the whole year. Chucky is not happy. Woo! Yeah. That is the red face that we have not seen for a while. So Seahawks fans make their presence felt there, and looks like we are going to get a punt. Yep. So yeah. Anyway, I think that there's some guys that national media are sleeping on, and they don't know. And the guys that I'd point to are guys like Chris Carson. I think that guy can be. I think he can be a Pro Bowl player this year potentially. I think he's a really, really solid player. I think people are sleeping on. Sorry, just watching the punt here, and David Moore almost made a really bad choice. He was very lucky that a Raider player knocked it out of bounds because Moore was going to try to catch that, and I almost certain that would have been a fumble. And for people someone asked us last week or a couple weeks ago, is that illegal batting to see the defensive player knock the ball out of bounds like that? That's not the case on a punt. As soon as the ball is contacted by the kicking team, it's a dead ball. So you can kick it, punt it, whatever. As soon as you touch it, it is a dead ball. The only exception to that is if you touch it, the kicking team touches it, it actually still can be a live ball to where the returning team can pick it up and actually fumble the ball and lose the ball and still retain possession. It's one of the weirdest rules. Oh, come on. False start, Willie Beavers. So instead of the 2-yard line, the Seahawks will have the ball on the 1-yard line. Not a banner night for the Seahawks offensive line. Not super surprising there. I'll get back to the Mike Clay thing here in a second. Let's watch this play. There's is that Tyron Swoops in motion? I couldn't quite tell. There's a handoff. Oh, a nice cut by Mike Davis. He has at least one of those a game when he's getting playing time. I don't think that was Swoops. I have to check numbers on that because I think that was 48. Oh, that's Carter. Is that Kyle Carter? I don't think we've seen a lot of Carter. So 2nd and 4. Beautiful. And Austin Davis, did he actually get that to the line of scrimmage? I hope so, because otherwise that's a safety. He's limping around a little bit. 3rd and 4 now. Joey Hunt's a guy that has been very fortunate in the NFL. Has never had to really play. Is super undersized. Really his only legitimate option at center, and even there it's a question mark. And he's got 3 years in the league. This will be going on his third year. Here's the snap. Oh, and that's an offsides, I think, right there. I think they drew him, and that would be a first down. Oh, delay a game. Oh, come on. So Colin says that KJ is on Twitter talking up the linebackers. I definitely Shaquem and Kalitra have probably been players of the game so far, I'd say. And I think Mingo and Martin, have done some nice job pass rushing. They're both linebackers as well. 3rd and 8, and tried to go to Stringfellow. Davis just doesn't have much of an arm, to be honest. I mean, he's more of a technician. Try to wing that out there. So if play doesn't happen right away and he's got to try to wing a ball in there, it's not likely. All right, so we're going to get to see Michael Dixon in these moments. Is he going to go for high hang time? Is he going to go for, big distance? How does he handle the pressure near his own end zone? There's the snap. Gets it off. Knocks the returner back. Oh, missed tackle and a pretty decent return. So I couldn't quite tell how deep that punt went. I guess it looks like about 54, they're saying. But very un-Michael Dixon, like 14 yards on the return. You'll take a 54-yard punt with 4.9 second hang time any day. Dixon doing his job per usual. But the Raiders take over at the 45. There's 5.5 minutes. This feels like the longest second quarter in history. There's the snap, a fake play action. They're going deep down the field, and Keem King is running in stride. Lorenzo Jerome was back there. So no real option, no real play to be made. So we got 2nd and 10. Really, one of the big, not surprises, but takeaways so far is just total lack of pass pressure. I mean, just really not seeing anything there. Seahawks are keeping out almost all their rotational guys. Even guys like Rasheem Green aren't playing. There's the snap, handoff. Nice cutback by Warren. Not much there. Good tackle by, I think that was Jacob Martin. He's at the bottom of that pile, so can't quite tell. He's 59. Of course, they cut away before we see the number, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was. Might have been Dante Johnson, though. Actually, it might have been 39. That'd be nice to know. One of the things Richard Sherman did that very, very few people really appreciated him for was his run support. One of the best run fit guys and run fill guys from the cornerback position in the whole NFL. Really improved on that part of his game throughout his career. Nice play. Nice, quick veteran pass and pick up the first down. Hatcher's had quite the game. Manuel just outsmarted the Seahawks in that play. That's a cheap conversion. The first down for the Raiders at the 34-yard line. There's the snap. There's Rasheem Green, and he almost gets the quarterback. Can't quite get there. Manuel had all day. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to watch this defense right now. Truthfully, they gave up 1 touchdown, and it was a little bit of a fluky touchdown. But watching quarterbacks have all day to throw the ball is not fun. We've got 2nd and 2. Another quick pass. Dante Johnson makes the tackle there. I mean, play like that, that's not the worst thing in the world. Yes, it's a conversion, but it doesn't say much about Dante Johnson. See Colin saying that Shaquem seems to get fooled a bit following blockers, get sucked into trap blocking. Can't sift through the traffic like we see from Bobby and KJ. That's possible. I definitely seen Shaquem looking a little lost at times and following the wrong part of the play. He's a seek and destroy kind of player. Like, I mean, end of the day, he's just going to look for the ball, run, and hit. And to some extent, I'd rather him be like that right now. If he's thinking too much, he's going to be slower. He's going to be even less effective. Show him what your mama gave you, and he's got speed. So see the ball, hit the ball, and if they take advantage, that's just part of what the learning process. And there's another touchdown for Hatcher. So that's a guy that I don't know if how close he is to the Raiders roster, but he's putting on some nice film tonight. Made a number of plays over the middle on slants. Let's see who was on him. He's been beating Justin Coleman pretty consistently. This time it was a nice pass between the zones. So Justin Coleman was there, but Lorenzo Jerome couldn't quite make the play. So they got in between the intermediate and the deep zone, and there's a touchdown. Raiders take a 17-6 lead, 2:15 to go, and Seahawks have not been playing that well today, to be honest. Offense, defense, overall, even special teams, not great. EJ Manuel's pretty pumped up about it. All right. It is the 4th preseason game, and you're like a 5-year vet, dude. So keep it in perspective. I do think it's funny that it's all the Raiders fans that are wanting the stream. I think that fits Raider fans' MO. Not a great return. Cyril Grayson, come on, dude. So 2:11 to go. 1st and 10 for the Seahawks from probably like the 18 or so. Yeah. Mike Davis goes in motion. You got an empty backfield. There's a snap. Davis hits Mike Davis. Davis to Davis. Fights and claws for a 1st down. It's about 11 yards. There's the 2-minute warning. It's times like these that you really learn to appreciate Russell Wilson, right? I mean, the guy, he does a lot of things unconventionally. He does a lot of things that coaches don't teach, don't like. Plays the game off script a lot. Does a lot of things that are different, but there's something about him where he gets things done, and he always finds ways to make plays. His risk reward decision making is usually spot on. His touchdown to interception ratio is always great. His efficiency is always off the charts. This is a guy that throws a great deep ball. Going to have a high yards per attempt. He's kind of, in a lot of ways. I mean, if he was 2 or 3 inches taller, I mean, he would be the ideal modern quarterback with what he can do. Even without that, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. Interesting to see, though, the Drew Brees has been a top 5, top 2, top 3 quarterback for many years, and the Saints were one of the worst teams in the league for a few years with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So this idea that it's a quarterback-driven league and that quarterback, you get your franchise quarterback and then you're set, it's not always true. And the Saints had a horrible defense, one of the worst ever for a little while. And even having a great offense with Breeze has not been enough. They finally started to balance it back out, having more talent throughout the roster, and now you're starting to get a team that has a chance. And so the Seahawks, I think they're in not quite that dire straits that the Saints were, but you've got a roster that's certainly less talented than it was in past years. But look, you got a franchise quarterback. You got maybe the best offensive line he's played with, since the Super Bowl years. And you got the best backfield I think he's had since Marshawn Lynch. I think you've got your since, at least 2015, maybe even earlier than that. We're going to see what happens with Doug Baldwin, but I think the offense could be pretty good this year. I think the offense could be top 10. I don't think it's unrealistic for them to be even higher than that. There's an inside handoff to Davis. Big hole. Gets about 15 yards. Nice to see. Number 63 is in there. Is that Skylar Phillips? It is Skylar Phillips. There's a pass to, is that Tyron Swoops? It is. Tight end has a chance to make this roster, folks, because Ed Dixon may be on PUP. There's Caleb Scott in there, number 10. I think it's about time for a David Moore play. Minute 18 to go. And, of course, lose video. Are you guys losing video too? Yeah, that's annoying. First down, though. Clock continues to tick. It looks like they took their first time out. Look at Skylar Phillips there clearing a hole. 63. He's a guy, I think he's out of Idaho, I want to say. Idaho State. Yeah. Strong dude. Hard to believe Mike Davis is averaging 5.5 yards a carry. It does not feel like it. He's picked it up a little bit on his last couple carries, and it looks like they're taking him out. Something's not feeling quite right. He hurt an ankle, I think, against Minnesota. They're taking a look at him. I'm guessing CJ Prosise is in the game now. First and 10, minute 7 to go. 43-yard line. There's a offsides free play. No? Stop. Cutting out. I guess they're going to call the offsides. You're going to call it a clear path to the quarterback. I feel like they should have let that play go. Maybe the Seahawks player jumped when they were in the neutral zone. Maybe Fant moved. Seeing the Raiders makes me think of, God, who was that pass rusher on the 49ers that had all those run-ins with the law, and then the Raiders picked him up? Spacing on his name. Alden Smith, that's right. There's David Moore on 1st and 5. Wow, they're giving him a very nice spot. I don't think the ball got there. We'll take it. God, Alden Smith, I think he had like 20 sacks plus one year or close to it. Out of the league. Amazing to get all the way to the NFL and then waste that kind of talent. Tried to hit Kyle Carter, but I had a much better chance of getting intercepted than it did ever getting completed. Was that a defensive lineman driving back? Because that guy's huge. He's a linebacker. That's a big boy for a linebacker. He was back there making a play on the ball, though. That's impressive athletics. So 2nd and 10, ball at 33. There's enough time there. I think they could have called a hold on Phillips, but they don't. Looked for Caleb Scott, overthrew him. So 3rd and 10 here. They're showing a little Keenan Reynolds here. 3rd down would be a place where you'd want him to potentially be an option. He's a guy that really flashed early in camp, and then for me, he kind of faded as camp went on. Malik Turner there, number 8. Timeout Raiders. Malik Turner is a guy that every time he's had a chance to make a play has made it. Had a nice touchdown against San Diego. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what the offense looks like in the second half with Mr. McGough. Our last chance to look at Mr. McGough tonight. How nice is it to see Doug Baldwin in uniform? He came out the other day saying that he does not think he's gonna be 100% all year long with this knee injury he's got. Knowing what kind of player Doug is and how much he relies on quickness and change of pace and change of direction, it's a big deal. So I really am eager to see him out in the field and hope he is savvy enough to be able to make the big plays. There's Davis. He finds Mr. Swoops for a first down. Nice find by Davis on the run. Nice to see him make an accurate throw while he's moving. That's something that we haven't seen as much of from Davis. So timeout with 31 seconds to go. Seahawks have 1 timeout remaining. Definitely seen a little bit better pass protection here. Raiders are bringing 5 that time. The Seahawks still gave Davis time to make that play. And Swoops, look at that separation. I mean, he's an athlete. Passes behind him, but when you have that much cushion, you can afford to have the pass behind you a little bit. Swoops is a guy that, I'd like to see him put on another 10 pounds, and I think he could be a really interesting tight end. So there's the snap, 1st and 10. Davis looking for the end zone. Hits the back of the helmet. Was going for, I think, David Moore. Flag. Are they calling a PI? David Moore seemed like, it looks like there's a flag in the end zone. Yeah, I can see it. It seems pretty ticky-tacky. I'm not a big fan of PIs that aren't like blatant. That to me looks like good defense. I wouldn't call that. That feels really generous. But we'll take it. 1st and goal from the 1. There's a handoff to Mr. Mike Davis. Is he back in the game? He is. Touchdown Seahawks. Nice. So nice 2-minute drill by the offense and Austin Davis. I will point out that Austin Davis and the Seahawks offense acted like they'd actually been there before and recognized that this was a 4th preseason game against backups. There was no EJ Manuel losing his shit and trying to get the sideline super psyched. So there you go. That's the type of extra point we're looking for, Mr. Janikowski. So Horatio's got a question for me here about have you taken a stab at the schedule with wins and losses? And he just had his first go at it. And what he finished with was 10-6, but could easily go 8-8. He's got them beating Denver, losing to Chicago, beating Dallas, beating Arizona in Arizona, losing to the Rams, beating Oakland in London. I'll be there for that game. I hope that is what happens. Losing to Detroit, losing to the Chargers, beating the Rams in LA. Wow, that's a big call out. Losing to Green Bay, winning at Carolina, also an interesting call. Beating San Francisco, beating Minnesota, that's a tough one. Losing at San Francisco. You got some weird choices here, dude. I don't know if I follow all these. Beating the Chiefs and beating Arizona. So I have not gone through and done my final prediction, but it's very hard for me to see. This feels like 9-7 team, like I think somewhere around there. I think they'll be in it. Injuries, obviously, it goes without saying, can be a really big deal. But if they stay healthy, I think they have a chance to compete for the playoffs. I think that's realistic. I don't think they have the type of talent that can develop, in a way that's going to make them contenders for the division title. I think the Rams would have to really implode. They're just so stacked with talent. I mean, I think they have at least 2 defensive linemen that are better than any player on the Seahawks defensive line. And you could argue, probably not. You could argue that they have 2 players on their defensive line that are better than any Seahawks defender, depending on how you feel about Ndamukong Suh versus Bobby Wagner. And that doesn't obviously mention their secondary and how much they just stacked that deck. That should be a great team. It's hard to see, if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, they may not win one, because this is the year. I think they're going to have a hard time keeping that talent around altogether. So we got halftime. So we're going to switch over. I'm going to switch over to the Mariner game, to be honest. I'm kind of curious what's going on over there. We'll get back to the halftime of the Seahawks game here in a second. But feel free to stick around. Someone's telling me I should hold my camera a little bit higher so they can all see the reflection of the game. Joe says he's not satisfied with our depth and agree we should keep and use our picks. Too many holes down the roster. I agree. So let's take a look at so Jose, you're asking about joining. You just gotta go onto Patreon. There's a join link there. There's a post with the link for paying patrons, and you should be able to get on. Yeah. So I thought let's take a look at stats real quick. Wow, the Mariners are putting it on the A's. 7-0. All right. So what stands out to me first half? We've got EJ Manuel, guys, 13 of 15 for 155 yards, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions for a 149.3 passer rating. So again, no pressure on the passer. There was 1 sack by the Seahawks, and that was on a play that Manuel really ran into the sack. He rolled out of the pocket, and Austin Calicho came and got him. That's also the only quarterback hit of the night. So that's a big standout for me. That, continues to be a real problem for the Seahawks. Plus side on defense, Shaquem Griffin has 8 tackles at halftime, 4 solo. that's outstanding production. Calitro's got 7 tackles, 3 solo, plus a tackle for loss. Nice to see that. Not a lot else that stands out on the defensive side of the ball. From a running perspective, Oakland's, I would say that that's another good sign. Oakland's got 10 rushes for 12 yards, 1.2 yards a rush. Chris Warren's got 8 rushes for 10 yards, just over a yard a rush. So the long rush of the game for the Raiders is 4 yards. That's now 3 halves of really good run defense from the Seahawks. That's good to see. On offense, Austin Davis, decent half, 13 to 20, 194 yards, a touchdown, average 9.7 yards a throw. He's got 113 passer rating. It's a decent night, and he really should have 2 touchdowns. He had one called back due to a holding call. Mike Davis is averaging 5 yards a carry. He's got 45 yards rushing at halftime. Outside of that, obviously DeMaurice Stringfellow has had a nice half with 90 yards and a touchdown, including an 81-yard touchdown catch. That's great. I thought Tyron Swoops had a nice half as well. Had a couple key clutch catches. Looked good. David Moore's gotten a few targets, only had 1 catch, did draw pass interference. Excuse me. Sorry, I am more excited than it seems. But I thought that was a pretty weak pass interference penalty, but nonetheless, we'll take it. Michael Dixon's got 2 punts for 85 yards. His long was 54. His average is a little down because one of the punts, they were punting from their own 40-yard line or so, and he kicked it to the 10. So, you don't want to kick him any farther than that, really. But he's done his job. So if I look at overall team stats, Seahawks are averaging 7 yards a play, helped a lot by that 81-yard play. Raiders are averaging 6.3 yards per play. Seahawks have 244 yards to 166 for the Raiders. Third down efficiency, interesting to see there. The Raiders are 2 of 6. The Seahawks are 4 of 8. So didn't really feel that way, but I think the Seahawks got a number of those third down conversions on that last drive. So that probably helped up that rate. Penalties were a story early on. It did seem to be less of a story later. Isaiah Battle started out at left tackle and got, what do you have, 2 holding penalties and a false start in the first series, and he got benched. They've been playing other guys at left tackle since then, so that is not what you want to see if you're an Isaiah Battle fan. But yeah, I think those were the things that stood out for me in the first half. Looking forward to seeing McGough in the second half. Hope we see a little bit more CJ Procise just to see how he looks. I mean, he's clearly in the doghouse. I mean, he is not getting many snaps at all. I'll be curious to see who gets snaps on the defense in the second half. I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of the same guys. I don't know that they're going to make many changes. So, guys, I would expect to see that maybe we didn't before. I do think we'll see a little bit more Procise running the ball. Expect McGough in at quarterback. See more from the receivers. It is worth noting Brandon Marshall did not play. He's getting the veteran treatment that he's made the team and doesn't need to prove himself in the 4th game. So that's potentially a good sign there for him. We'll see if George Fant gets a chance to move back over to right tackle. I'd like to see that and see if they can slide someone back in at left tackle. Seahawks will get the ball to start the second half, so see if they can take the lead. So it looks like everybody's been having trouble with the they get them in the second half. Should not be rocket science this day and age. So I almost forgot that I've got this bad boy. Check that out. Can't really read it there. It's like the size of my head. You guys get to see me eat. So what is your favorite game day food? What's your go-to? That's solid. For me, it's nachos. Hard to have game day without nachos. Man, there's a very strong Puna Ford contingent in the Seahawks fan base. I think he's a good player. I'm cheering for him. I have to admit, I'm not spending a lot of time thinking about him. Oh, Manny, Taco Bell is your game day go-to, really? What do you get there? What's your go-to at Taco Bell? I mean, I used to love, Taco Bell at midnight and give me like 6 tacos, 3 soft, 3 soft taco supremes, 3 hard taco supremes. Give me some fire sauce and like a Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is my go-to at Taco Bell. For some reason, that works for me better. If I'm at like a Burger King or McDonald's, it's got to be Coke. If it's pizza, it's got to be root beer. I don't know why, but that's how it is for me. So chalupas, believe it or not, I've not had a Taco Bell chalupa. So I have had their like Dorito tacos, which aren't that bad. So Joe, you're a nacho or wing guy. You got nachos or wings. I think that there's a mistake in your phrase there. It should be nachos and wings. Those things play nicely together. You just got to sequence them out. What's everyone's favorite cocktail nowadays? Game day for me for a long time had been Red Bull and vodka. And I think I'm getting too old for that. My body is just like destroyed the day after. But it is a fun way. A breakfast crunch wrap. I have not had that either, Taylor. I assume we're still talking about Taco Bell. Well, I'm glad you're not drinking if you're not old enough to drink, dude. Sir, oh, I've not done the apple thing. All right, I'll have to try that. Egg rolls on game day? All right. Well, thanks, dude. Red Bull and vodka is definitely heart attack bait. It's not good for you, and you shouldn't do it. All right, so you got the second half kicking off. Is that Keenan Reynolds returning? It is. I sure like him better as a returner than Cyril Grayson. He's just a more natural runner with the football. Looks like we're going to get a holding penalty. How do you guys feel about Pete? Pete really seems to want the Seahawks to be a team that takes the ball out of the end zone and returns it instead of taking it at the 25. I got to say, I feel like it's a mistake. I think the team ends up inside the 25 almost every time. Oh, wow. Horatio went off on the food question. Carne asada, barbecue Mexican sauce, fajitas with skirt steak on the grill. Oh, man. That sounds fantastic. When are you inviting me over, dude? All right, so the Seahawks start. We got McGough. Mr. McGough's in there. 1st and 10 from the 9-yard line. I think that's Daniel Marks in there, number 44 at fullback for the first time. There's a dump off and a shitty throw. Wow, 34. I'm so used to that being Thomas Rawls, but it is not Thomas Rawls. That I think is Gerald Holmes. Gray goose and a blunt. Yep. All right. Yeah, everyone's got their own game day ritual. We got Willie Beavers in there at right tackle. It looks like Isaiah Battle maybe is back there at left tackle. There's the inside handoff, and there's Holmes. Nice cut, nice burst, and there's first down. Decent hole in there. Glad to see Battle get another chance. I mean, the guy started off wrong, but interesting run play there. I'd definitely like to see that again. You saw some of the right tackle kind of. There's a handoff to Marks, I believe. Nope, that was Holmes again. Holmes is 34 and Marks is 44, so it's going to be a little. Sometimes I'll see a 4 that's not the right 4. So 2nd and 7, 3 yards there. And here's the snap. Play action. Plenty of time. Magoo's got his man, and there's Malik Turner. Turner, I like Malik Turner. Like, I don't know if he'll ever be something, but I like him. He's at Illinois. A guy that everyone always thought had talent and just never really blossomed. But I like his size. I like his route running. I like his hands. I've never seen him drop the ball. Physical player. He's got a little shimmy to him. I don't know. I think he's a nice player. I mean, he's definitely not a guy that's gonna make the roster, but wouldn't be surprised if a guy like that bounces around and finally finds a place in the league. You better get rid of it, Mr. McGough. All right, he tosses it out of bounds in first and 10. So smart play. I think Magoo's clearly a guy that has gotten the attention of a lot of Seahawks fans for good reason. I think he's shown athletic ability. He's got a really nice arm. He's made some plays on the run. He's made some plays with his feet. There's a lot of raw ability there. But it's very clear that he's limited in what the coaches feel like he's capable of doing in terms of running the offense. And he's not ready to be a backup quarterback. So that's why they went out and got a guy like Hundley that is ready to be a backup quarterback. Oh, no. Oh, wow. That is incredibly fortunate for the Seahawks and Mr. McGough. He had one of those happen last week in Minnesota, and you could argue he threw it into a bad spot. In this case, he throws it right in the breadbasket for the receiver. And he's not able to come down with it. I think that was Marvin Bracey, number 87, who dropped that ball. And Bracey's actually, he's a fast dude. He's a sprinter, but he is not necessarily a guy with the best hands, apparently. So I don't know what's going on right now. Oh, someone's hurt. Isaiah Battle's hurt. There we go. I'm going to use that as an opportunity. This has M&Ms or something in it. It needs a. I don't really know if I need M&Ms in a peanut butter. Well, Battle was injured in the first preseason game. Had a knee injury. Missed a little bit of time and came back. Man, not a good night for that dude. Bums me out. I mean, these guys play their whole lives to get here, and they're trying to bust their ass to make a roster. Have an injury like that it's a shame. Curious, I don't know if George Fant's back in at left tackle or not. We'll see in a second here. 3rd and 10. It is Fant at left tackle. Beavers is just destroyed on right tackle. And there's McGough unleashing. Holy shit. Oh my God. What a throw. Wow. That is worth getting pumped about. A rookie quarterback throwing it on the run, 60 yards in the air. He threw that from his own 40. That's all arm, no body. 60 yards in the air, touchdown on the freaking money. That is a gorgeous play. That is really nice. Wow. And there's Malik Turner again. I'm telling you, this guy, he just makes plays. I mean, are they going to take a look at this? They're wondering whether he got 2 feet in. Are they wondering whether he crossed the plane? Both of those could be legitimate questions here. Wow, what a play. So I haven't gotten into my prediction stuff yet. Honestly, I usually do that after they do final roster cut down. I have to admit, I'm debating whether I'm even going to do that this year. It's been many years that I've done that. This weekend I'm going away with the fam. We're going to go up in the mountains and do some hiking. But we'll see if I have a chance to write it up. Like I said, I'd be surprised if I end up any higher than 9 wins. That's probably what I will. My guess is what I will end up doing this year, but we'll see. So it sounds like folks are saying that he stepped out. I could rewind and check it, but I'll just wait and see what they say on the review. No matter what happens with that play, they call it incomplete or not. That does not change the throw. That was a remarkable throw. Not a lot of guys can make that throw. So It looks like they took the touchdown off the scoreboard, and they came back at 17-13. So, yeah. Yep, he was out of bounds. All right, too bad. It was fun, though. All right, so we're going to get a Michael Dixon punt. Wow, they can't quite get the score right. Michael Dixon with his bent leg style. Oh, he can't make that one go out of bounds. Come on, Dixon. You don't do touchbacks, man. Come on. That's not Hall of Fame material right there. 52 yards, but it ends up being 32 yards net. So, it's also possible they're having him try some different punts, see what works. That one, they might have been trying to backspin it, but I don't know how many of you played with punting footballs, but controlling the spin forward and backwards is really tough. It's definitely easier to control it sideways and make it spin sideways than it is to make it spin backwards. It's pretty much 50-50 whether it goes backwards or forwards when it's got that kind of spin on it. So that was the longest run of the game for the Raiders on first down there. I think that was a 7-yard run. Up until then, I think 4 yards is their longest run. Still seeing a lot of the same numbers out there on Seahawks defense. There's the fake handoff, Manuel on the run. And who made the tackle there? Jacob Martin. I've been impressed with Martin as an athlete from the beginning. I think he's got a lot to offer. Developmental guy. I think he could eventually replace Barkevious Mingo. And I actually think even this year, if they needed to, he could take over that spot in a pinch. He's got some work to do on coverage, and he's he's a defensive lineman by trade, but I really like what he could look like as a linebacker. So 3rd and 2 here. They need to get to the 30-yard line. Quick drop and another slant, and that ball is deflected. Who got his hands on that? Is that Brandon Jackson? He had a couple deflections this preseason. I don't know that I can give him much credit for that one. That's a pretty bad throw. Looks like he threw it pretty much into his helmet. But the Seahawks, to their credit, were on the slant route that time. They have been struggling with defending the slant in this game, and they were there that time. So the Raiders give it right back, and here's the punt. Kicks away, and fair catch is called for and made by Mr. Cyril Grayson. So Seahawks take the ball over. There's about 11 minutes to go here in the third quarter, and Alex McGough will come back out, see if he can figure out one of these throws to stay inbounds and put some more points on the board. Yeah, so Colin's got a question about Jake Pugh, and he had a really bad game against Minnesota, to be honest. So I don't think he is going to be a practice squad candidate. It's possible. Definitely a guy from a pass rush perspective they were interested in, but he was injured for a while in camp, didn't get a lot of snaps, and I just don't know that he's had enough chances to stand out. So no, I think he's probably a guy that'll get let loose and wander the league. Young player though, he's an athlete. Everyone's an athlete at this level, but he's he's got some interesting characteristics in terms of his speed and his bend. So I think you might still hear from him, but I don't think much this year. So apparently all I need to do to get people to tune into this thing my plan illegal feeds of the game. That is a growth hack for anyone who's trying to grow their YouTube channel, apparently. But not high quality users. Raiders fans and 49ers fans are cut from the same cloth. All right, so here we go with Mr. McGough. First down at the 29-yard line. There's the snap, fake the handoff, bootleg, and quick throw out to Cyril Grayson for about a 13-yard gain. Flag down. What's the call? Come. Offensive pass interference against Mr. Grayson for a push-off. He was pretty open. So back it up. It's going to be 1st and 20. Let's take a look here. That's too bad. He didn't need to do it. He really didn't. He was going to make that play without putting his hand up there. So there's a snap, quick look on a slant going back to Grayson. Defender was all over his back, but they're not going to make that call. Oh, maybe they are. Yeah, I thought he climbed all over his back, and they do make that call. 1st down. Wow. Big conversion for 1st and 20 to a 1st down right there. Colin's asking if there's barring injury, any guys that on the practice squad I could see getting called up. That's a really good question. McGough, potentially. I guess you're not talking about injury, but I mean, if Hundley is injured, that's a chance that McGough could come up. I think there'll be some guys on the defensive line. You might see a Poona Ford on the practice squad. I wouldn't be shocked about that. Davis taking it, or sorry, McGough taking it. Another flag. What's that for? Refs need to just swallow their flags, guys. I mean, this is not interesting. No one wants to. It's hard enough to watch like 5th string players play football. It's even worse with all the flags. Personal foul, roughing the passer? Tackling him? I mean, I like this is play football. What's the penalty here? What is the penalty? What on earth? I don't get it. But all right. Yeah, Colin says as the body weight on the QB rule. I don't know what you're supposed to do there. You throw the guy to the ground, and your body is your body. Like, where's it supposed to go? The Seahawks run to the left side, lose a couple yards there. Running outside is it's a very different skill set you need from your offensive lineman than running inside, and that might seem obvious, but like Tackles need to be able to get outside their players, and a lot of times, it's not a driving forward. It's a quickness and it's a seal. Fant wasn't able to get out there. There's a false start. It's an offsides. Someone jumped in the neutral zone. Are they going to call it on the quarterback? Oh, they're calling it on the quarterback. They're calling it on McGough. I think they're saying he simulated the snap or something like that. The 2nd and 16, you can't shake your hand. Yeah, you can't do that. That's true. Russell gets away with something that's pretty close to that, but he has his hands up already, so he just kind of like barks and his hands bounce a little bit. They let that happen. 2nd and 16. I have seen defensive players complain about Russell Wilson doing that, though. Another deep throw. Oh, man. Grayson should have had that. I think that's a nice back shoulder throw. I guess we're not going to show a replay on that, but I thought it was a nice play. The 3rd and 16. Play clock's winding down. They're going to have to call timeout. Nope. I guess there's an issue with the game clock. So here we go. 3rd and 16. There's Holmes. Wow. I think he got that. I think that's a tough spot, actually. They might want to review that. Holmes made a nice play there. Makes the man miss. I don't know. I think they're going to look at that. I think he might have gotten there. Yeah. They spun him around, and it really depends on when that knee went down. But when he landed, he was definitely past the first down marker. I'm going to go ahead and rewind myself here and tell you what I think. All right, let's do it in slow motion. So makes the man miss. His arm goes down. Definitely farther. I think he's farther along than where they spotted the ball. But I don't know if it's going to be enough for a first down. It's going to be close. Taylor's asking if I think Stringfellow is going to make the 53-man roster. I don't. I think he's a practice squad candidate. He's another guy that could potentially get called up depending on injury situations. Interestingly enough, the two guys we got on the pod tonight are both from Texas, or both at least living in Texas. So Seahawks fans all over the place. Did not win the challenge, so the ruling was confirmed. Interesting. Well, Seahawks going to punt from the 40, their own 49-yard line. Not a great punt. That's probably Dixon's worst punt I've seen. It's about a 30-yard punt. I think all the publicity he's been getting is hopefully that's not overwhelming the kid. So 9 minutes to go left in the third quarter. The extra trail on 17-13. Raiders had the ball at the 19-yard line. The handoff there. Oh, man, big hole. And looks like almost a face mask, but just a lot of missed tackles. Definitely the long play of the night for the Raiders on the ground there. Still got the same guys pretty much out there. Chris Warren. Oh, we got a flag, illegal block in the back, I think, or illegal hands to the face. So that'll come back. Thankfully for the Seahawks, because there was a guy that had some penetration in the backfield, but pretty big hole there. Wow, Rasheem Green is still in. Why is Rasheem Green in? I don't get that. I guess good practice, but here's the snap and a quick pass outside. Not much, maybe 3 or 4 yards. That's going to be 2nd and 16. I think that Shaquem Griffin's out of the game. I haven't seen his number for a little while. I don't know if he's played at all in the second half, to be honest. Seahawks still, to this point in the game, have 1 quarterback hit. If you want good news, the Seahawks have only surrendered 3 quarterback hits. So there's that. There's Rasheem Green getting around the edge a little bit. Wow. Who's that? Jacob Martin? That's a nice tackle. 35. Is that Manuel Beal? He's a nice athlete. Oh, it's Maurice Alexander. Beanie, I'm definitely not crowning Dixon Hall of Fame too early. He's going to be awesome. There's Jacob Martin. I almost got there. At least a little bit of pressure. And there's Mingo. What the heck? So it is really questionable from my perspective to have any starters out there. To have Mingo out there right now, I don't understand. Like, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. There's nothing to be gained by it. There's a big play by the Raiders. It's 1st and 10 from the Seahawks 40 now. There's a play action. They're looking deep. Nothing there. That's Trey Flowers in the coverage. In reasonably good position. Colin, really curious to hear from some of these players during the season. How much is the helmet rule affecting their mental game when they're going? Yeah, I mean, definitely hearing them talk about it, and I don't understand how you can legislate the helmet out of the game. I mean, I don't know how it's possible. I think it's just asking for something that. Wow, what was the call there? Is that a hold? Blocking the back. So this is not a clinic in great football. So how are you guys feeling about the first week? I mean, in Denver, you've got, mediocre quarterback. You've got questionable offensive line, but you've got Von Miller and Chubb, pass rushing on defense. You got obviously Chris Harris. You got some talent there. Oof. Trey Flowers done a nice job cleaning up there. I don't know. I can't, a part of me thinks about it and it's like, the offense is going to look good. I feel like Chris Carson's going to be a load. I feel like Russell Wilson's going to have a nice game. I feel like their receivers, they've got enough receivers to give them trouble. I kind of want to say that the Seahawks win 17-13 or something like that. But it wouldn't shock me at all. With your first game, opening up on the road is just so tough, and the Seahawks seem to do that almost every year. Oh, man. Big pass down the middle of the field, and Delano Hill goes for the hit. Does not wrap up, and the Raiders get another run-after-catch touchdown. Poor tackling. The Seahawks have had a pretty abysmal game tackling. Some really, really bad tackles, and there's no way you can afford to have your safety go for the hit with your shoulder and not wrap up with your arms. I mean, it's just basics. And so that's a pretty bad look from Delano Hill. Yeah, he's had a more preseason. I was there on hoping that he would stand out, and it's just it hasn't been great, to be quite honest. It hasn't been great. The Seahawks are. Oh man, there's a missed extra point. All right. I think the Seahawks may have the worst safety unit in the NFL. It would not surprise me at all. So Colin's not concerned at all about Denver's offense, concerned about the defensive line. Interestingly, you got it as a 17-10 kind of game. That's roughly what I had. Horatius feels good, but mainly feel bad about Denver. Colin mentions the elevation too can be an issue. Yeah, gonna be interesting. Yeah, so sorry, hold on a second. Trovon Reed. I always say Trayvon. Not sure if that's the right. It's spelled Trovon. Got beat there. He was a guy that was making some plays in practice earlier on, but I think has been with the Seahawks a few times and never really stuck. I think he's more of a camp body and probably always will be. So 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Seahawks are trailing by 10. Up until that drive, the Seahawks had really stopped the Raiders on offense. A couple really busted plays. The long play along the sideline. Ironically, the first time they'd really created some pressure to flush Manuel out of the pocket, and he finds someone with a busted coverage downfield for a big play. And then, it was a good throw there. Receiver gets open, and just a horrible tackle by Delano Hill, and you got a touchdown. So you don't have to have great offense to score. Sometimes you just have to have bad defense or a little bit of luck. And there goes the blackout. I can count on that from the Q13 feed. Mario Stringfellow talking a little trash to someone on the Raiders, but never quite get that on a touchback. Horatio's big on Royce Freeman, the running back in Denver. I know a lot of people have been saying that they think that he's underrated and could blow up this year. There's a carry by Holmes. Fights for a couple. Nice push. Maybe gets 3 at the end of that. He's got nice active legs. The guy runs hard. It's just another reminder. There's just so many of these running backs out there. Thomas Rawls was an undrafted guy. He looked like he was going to light the world on fire for a while. I'm really cheering for him with the Jets. He's a really, really good guy. If you ever had a chance to meet him, very genuine, good spirit to him, and I liked watching him play. Good runner. I did not like watching that play. Nothing there for Holmes. They're running the ball a lot. I don't know if they're just trying to judge some of the offensive linemen in these plays. But that play didn't have much of a chance. We got 3rd and 6. Been a lot of conversions to the tight ends tonight for the Seahawks. We'll see if Tyrone Swoops is part of it. No, he's staying in the block. Whoa. Caleb Scott, did he make that catch? Definitely caught the ball, but he did not land in bounds. All right, so here's another punt. A lot of punts. .343 to go. There's a snap, and Dixon lets this one loose. Another not great punt. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't Dixon-esque. Couple flags come down. I don't know if those are holding penalties, but that would help. Yeah, it was just a 42-yard punt. So we got a block in the back there. I'm probably at the end of the third quarter. I'm probably going to wrap up the podcast. I'll be probably watching the fourth quarter, but I don't know. There's going to be enough to really talk about there. So if you got questions, you want to talk about stuff, we got probably about 5 more minutes. All right, 1st and 10 for the Raiders from the 21. There's the snap. There's the handoff. Cut inside and brought down by, I think that was Naz Jones. A little help from Maurice Alexander. So 2nd and 9. There's the snap. Another handoff right up the middle. Good tackle there by 43. That's Emmanuel Beal. Beal's a nice athlete, good special teams player. If he was a little bit of a better linebacker, might have had a shot to hang on to the roster just based on his special teams play. You got a new quarterback in there. You got, I think that's Connor Cook. All right there. I never can quite be sure. 3rd and 6. There's some pressure. They finally cannot get there. Jacob Martin. Oh, God. So frustrating. There's a flag. Hopefully it's a holding because, geez Louise. The whole Seahawks defensive line looked like they got back there, but none of them could bring him down. Everyone's walking back, so that's that's a good sign. Yeah, there's a holding call. But, man, holding call or not, there was a lot of Seahawks that had a chance to make a play on the quarterback and did not. And I think that was Jacob Martin that had him, and dove. And really dove. That was a pretty desperate dive. I mean, you're a better athlete than the quarterback. Just close the ground and make the tackle. If you dive like that, then you leave it open. Horatio, thanks for coming on, dude. And sorry about that. I couldn't get the audio to work this time. It will work better next time. And Colin, you asking if I've got a jersey. I've got like 5 jerseys. I've got an Amon Green. I've got a Corin Robinson. I've got a Matt Hasselback Pro Bowl jersey, like a bright green one. Actually, no, it's not a Pro Bowl jersey. It's their original green, like crazy green alternate jerseys. I've got a couple Doug Baldwins. So those are my jerseys. Oh, little fumble by Cyril. Little problem by Dante, and nothing there. So there is a minute and 38 to go. This has been a game with few highlights if you're a Seahawks fan. And, there's been a couple of plays. I think the play of the game was one that didn't count. McGough with that throw to Malik Turner, it was definitely my favorite play of the game. Here's a snap to McGough. Swings it out to Holmes. Has some space. It's about 5 yards on that. Not a lot of throws downfield in the last couple possessions. It's been very conservative play calling by the Seahawks. And 2nd and 5 from the 37, 38. There's the fake. Roll out to the tight end, and they do not get anything. I think that's Clayton Wilson, guy that's been injured almost the whole camp, just gotten back recently. No real chance for him to make it. So it's going to be 3rd and 5. You know, John Schneider loves the Northwest Missouri State, dude. You know, he loves the small schools. He loves finding guys that nobody else finds. 3rd and 4, they're going to give him a yard. I think that's really pretty generous. There's the pass, and the man's open. Does he make the catch? No. Caleb Scott bobbles. Whoo-wee! All right, we're going to watch this Michael Dixon punt, and then we're going to call it for the night, folks. What's the call? Let's see this again. It's being bobbled, but he's got it. Wow. I feel like given the new rules for what's a catch, that's a catch. He made the catch, he had the ball, and then it got knocked out at the end. Like, good for Pete for challenging it. Who cares if he doesn't get it? But if this new, I'm interested to see how this plays out, because if it's the new rule, you know, if he's got the ball, it can even hit the ground and move. If you've made the catch and secured it, it's a catch. That's not the right angle. Why do the cameramen is there like no IQ in the booth? Here's the angle. He's got the ball right there. He's down. It's moving there a little bit. Then he gets possession again. He's still got it there. And then he's definitely got it. And at the very end, it gets knocked out. That's a catch. Control 2 feet down. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Bobby Ingram jersey. That's solid. Ah, yes. That's good. Good on the NFL for getting something right. Joe. We're not putting Joey Hunt at right tackle, no. That would be really funny. He has to have the shortest arms of any right tackle ever. That would be fun to watch, though. All right. Let's go, guys. Come on. Let's play football. You know what really makes a game without a lot of highlights better is super long pauses for no reason between plays. Like, must see. All right, 1st and 10 from the 44. So nice catch there by Caleb Scott. Tough catch. And there's Jared Holmes moving his feet. That'll be the end of the 3rd quarter. So with that, guys, been great. I appreciate having you on, and have a wonderful rest of your night. I'll probably be on Twitter after this, make comments here and there, but we're going to be talking about real football next week, and tune in next Tuesday night. We have a special guest. Jake Heaps is going to be on the pod, breaking down the Seahawks. He's doing some great stuff, a former Seahawks quarterback. So looking forward to seeing you then. Have a great rest of your night. Take care.